How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be doing my review for Superman and Lois Season 3, Episode 7, which was titled Forever and Always. And overall, a decent episode. I liked it. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't great, I don't think. Mainly because, and I hate to be this guy, but there's no Superman in this episode. Now, I'll let it slide because it, again, still was a pretty decent episode and still advanced the plot. It wasn't like a filler episode or anything. It's not like The Flash this season where we went 3 episodes in a row without seeing The Flash. And that, again, this is the final season of The Flash, but I'm not going to be talking about The Flash because that show aggravates me. This show, I really enjoy, of course. But yeah, I do have to mention that, no Superman. I'm sure it's happened before in this series. It hasn't happened yet this season, but it's probably happened before. I can't remember what specific episode, but okay, not that big of a deal, really, but I just have to get that off my chest briefly. But anyway, we see that Lois is still struggling with this chemotherapy. She's pretty sick this episode, and it's getting pretty bad. And I kind of just want to talk about that whole situation. Like, where is this building to? Like, right now, funnily enough, there's not really a lot of hope going on, and they kind of talk about hope at the end of this episode. Hope's not going to cure cancer. I think Jonathan says that in this episode. But yeah, funnily enough, I just don't know where this is going because there is a lack of hope right now, and it's interesting. I almost feel like Lois should die. I don't know, maybe because otherwise. What was the... I don't know. I mean, there might still be a point of showing this cancer arc, just to show that the family is very strong and can kind of get through these types of things. But I seriously do wonder, like, how it's going to be, I guess, cured. I mean, you never know. Chemotherapy sometimes actually can cure it to a degree. So maybe she'll be in remission or something like that. It's all possible. We'll never know until we get there, of course, later in the season. But I don't know. It's interesting. Let's leave that open for discussion right now. What do you guys think is going to happen to Lois? I believe we are getting another season after this, at least one other season. So I don't think this is like the final season. I think I've talked about this already multiple times. But do you think Lois should die? I don't think she should, but also, like, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't want her to die, first of all. Let me just say that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. They've got me guessing for sure, but it's very intriguing. And her and Lois and Pia, which we find out is Bruno Mannheim's wife, they get close in this episode, obviously, when they're getting chemo together. And I was like thinking this whole episode, it's going to suck when Lois finds out that she's working with Mannheim. It's actually Bruno's wife. But then she actually finds out. It was a pretty big reveal, actually, at least for Lois in this episode. She finds out Pia is Bruno's wife. And Clark has like a meeting with he visits Bruno actually, and he obviously is trying to get details about Henry Miller and all that. And I really love that quote. Bruno says to Clark, "How far would you go to save your wife, or how far would you go to save her?" And they're talking about their wives, and Clark kind of realizes that in this conversation they're having right now, Bruno's actually not talking about Lois. He's talking about his own wife, and I really liked how that kind of clicked in Clark's mind. And it's pretty interesting, to be honest. It's almost like seemed that Clark and Lois were kind of okay. I'm kind of confused, actually. I don't know for sure if they knew Bruno was doing this stuff to, like, Henry Miller and all that. But I think they do now know that he was kind of up to some shenanigans, you know? But Bruno, he's still got a dark side. I mean, we see at the end of this episode, and Pia, I think, has a dark side as well. Her killing all those people at the end pretty ruthlessly. They still are kind of crime lords to a degree. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. But I just love how well written they are, especially Bruno Mannheim. He's easily the best antagonist the show's ever seen. I mean, there's really not that much competition, though. I think I said this in my last review, or one of them. But yeah, Bruno is easily the best antagonist the show's ever seen. It's great to see him on screen, and I just love Chad L. Coleman. And I really love what they did with him in this episode. They're really humanizing his character. They're really showing you kind of his motivations and all of his layers. And I just love that, man. I really do. It was a great episode for Bruno and Pia, just to kind of introduce her, which I just now realized her name's Pia. Onomatopoeia. Oh my God. I just now realized that. Okay, that's hilarious. Because I've never heard anyone be named Pia, but we all know she's onomatopoeia. Okay. Yeah, I just realized that. I'm stupid. Anyways, we have some stuff with Lana in this episode, still kind of dealing with her finding out that Chrissy's with Kyle. But then Sarah and Chrissy end up getting kind of close in this episode. They go to that movie, and I think, obviously Lana kind of confronts Sarah at the end of the episode, and she saw them together at the end when they're kind of happy and laughing together at the movie theaters. And I think, obviously Lana's just kind of adjusting to this time after the divorce. And, it's interesting, to be honest. I hope Lana can kind of have a happier future. And it does look like she will be getting that, because it definitely seemed in this episode to me, John Henry and Lana, they're hooking up for sure at some point, or maybe not. Who knows? It'd kind of be interesting if it just managed to be a platonic friendship. That could be interesting, but I don't know. The way they're setting up right now definitely makes me think it's going to be romantic, and I'm fine with that, to be honest. I'm not against that, really. I think it's okay. But yeah, let me hear your guys' thoughts on that. Nat in this episode is having Mateo over for lunch, and that whole side plot with John kind of being overprotective, which makes sense, everything that he's gone through with Nat and everything. Yeah, makes sense. So I get it. And we also get some stuff with Jordan and Jonathan. They go to the fortress to see if there's a cure for Lois, like Kryptonian science, if there's any available, which they do kind of talk about at the end of the episode, that like the implications of them using Kryptonian science to like potentially cure Lois, and like then they'd have to share it with the rest of the world. I don't know though, because I feel like the episode already established Clark would have done anything for, I don't know, but you never know. It could have killed Lois or something. So maybe it's too risky, but then like it could have worked. I don't know. It's all very interesting, but yeah, it's sad. This season is very sad. Maybe too sad. I don't know. I think I've talked about this a little bit before, but yeah, this season is depressing. I just have to mention that every single time because, I don't know, it is depressing. And I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way, watching this and seeing all the stuff about Lois's cancer and her being sick. It's like, it's not exactly fun, but it makes for good drama. So what can I say? And this is a drama at the end of the day. I mean, I would say it is, superhero drama. So hey, is what it is. But, and then, yeah, Jordan and Jonathan, they end up finding Lois's end-of-life arrangements, and they're kind of, like, a little pissed because Lois isn't, like, revealing how sick she actually is, and she's kind of, like, pretending, and, like, I don't know, it's all interesting stuff, but still sad nonetheless. But, overall, I did like the episode. It's not one of my favorites of the season, but it's definitely not, like, an L for the series or anything. It was still good. And again, what it does for Bruno's character and Pia's character, great stuff there. Easily some of the highlights of the episode for me. I really love what they're doing with them. But let me hear your thoughts on all this down in the comments below. What did you guys think about this episode? What was your favorite part? What do you think is going to be happening next? There's still some mentions of Lex Luthor in this episode. It doesn't look like Bruno's really on Lex's side, which is pretty interesting. So we'll see what happens with all that, because we know Lex is coming later this season, and I cannot wait. Hopefully he comes soon, like episode, he might not be in the next episode. He might be in like episode, I don't know, 9 or 10, but I think there's 15 episodes, so he's got to come at some point, and I want him to be at least involved with a decent chunk of the season. So hopefully no later than episode 10. I mean, anything later than episode 10, I'll be disappointed, to be honest, because it's like, I want to see a decent chunk of him, but who knows? Who knows? Post your thoughts and comments down below, though. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and check out my Letterboxd and Twitter down in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.